Talking with workplace culture expert Gary D. Rodriguez with Peopleistic. I haven't seen the list, but I'm told that I'm on it. Not me personally, the job I do. KLIF News Time now 5:40.
KLIF News and information in the morning. Now 1 hour earlier, 5 until 9.
The best and worst jobs of 2014. We'll find out about those. The site careercast.com has come out with its best and worst jobs of 2014 lists. And to give you a little bit of a hint, anything in the IT field, information technology, math, education, all good jobs. But if you're a lumberjack or a broadcaster, you might want to look for a new career. This is stunning. Let's welcome Gary D. Rodriguez with the Business Training and Development Group, Peopleistic. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning. How are you, Dave?
Well, I was fine until I saw my career on your worst list.
That is the number 5 one, I have to admit, Dave.
Well,
so you're still in good stead. At least you're not a lumberjack.
No. Let's go ahead and let's start with that list, the worst of 2014, and then we can help people out with the better list.
Well, the lumberjack, of course, the job growth projection for lumberjacks, this is projected out to 2022, is only 4%, and the annual salary is only like $24,340. I really do believe that so much of the paper industry, you can see that newspaper reporters is number 2 as the worst job, because everything seems to be moving more to digital and social media as far as how people receive information, because technology is just changing everything. And these are the jobs that are being most affected.
Makes perfect sense. Newspaper reporter number 2. Yeah, well, I think there are a lot of us trying to figure out where newspapers are headed, and not least of all the people who are still working in the industry. I was surprised to see that the median annual salary is just $37,000.
I know. Pretty interesting, isn't it? Gone are the days of Lois Lane, eh?
Yeah. Still, you know what's interesting about it, though, is I think journalism still has a future. It's just that technology is going to change the method of delivery of information.
Well, even publishing houses are all going digital. They're all going to a digital format rather than having printed books. People are very rarely buying printed books. They can get them all in electronic format now. So it cuts costs both for the consumer and the producer. As I said before, technology is shifting everything. But when you look at the 10 best jobs, again, technology is making a huge influence there as well. With number 7 being software engineers, mathematicians, computer system analysts. But you know what I found interesting is that audiologists and dental hygienists were ranked 5 and 6 on that, and they had very relatively high salaries and the highest growth rate projection, 34 and 33%, which is one of the highest growth rate projections up to 2022, which I found rather interesting.
Well, I would think that the medical fields, and certainly we need to be able to hear. We need to keep our teeth working. Technology is not going to change those things. Maybe the way they're dealt with is going to change, but it's an excellent point. Those are number 5 and 6 on your list of best jobs. Mathematician. Why is the mathematics field expected to grow?
Well, I think it's because mathematics actually crosses so many different sectors and extremely diverse industries. Does that skill actually match to? Of course, I would be hopeless in math, but it's got good growth potential for the future, and I think that's probably why it's number 1. It just applies to so many industries.
Now, the list I'm looking at says number 2 on the best jobs is university professor, and then in parentheses it says tenured. Why the qualification?
Well, tenured, as you know, that you have to teach at a university for some time before you get tenure, and it's quite an academic feat to get tenure. So I think from that perspective, and I won't say all professors actually get that. So it's quite a feat academically to become tenured in a university, and I think that's the caveat, that a university professor is quite a great job. I mean, from the perspective of being able to better other people's lives through education, is fabulous. But if you're not tenured, it's still a tenuous position. You can see that the job growth rate is 19% for that, and a $68,970 price tag on that. Not a great moneymaker, but a very rewarding personal moneymaker, I think.
We're talking with Gary D. Rodriguez with the Business Training and Development Group, Peopleistic. We're looking at his list of the 10 best and worst jobs of 2014. I'm interested in best jobs lists number 3 and 4, statistician and actuary, because I'm not sure I know the difference.
Well, an actuary actually deals with the financial impact of risk and provides assessments of financial security systems, whereas a statistician is something different. It's sort of growing. I mean, I think this is very closely linked to a mathematician, because it also covers a wide spectrum of industries, and that's why it's ranked at a 27% growth rate projection to 2022. And the salary is pretty good. It's $75,560. But an actuary, the price point there is really good. Job growth rate is 26%, and the salary rate is $93,680, which is pretty good penny.
It's hard to imagine a kid, graduating from high school. I'm sitting down with my son and going, boy, this June the world is going to be your oyster. You're going to have the world by the tail. You can do anything you want to do with your life. What is it going to be? And he says, I want to be an actuary.
I know.
There are always a lot of jobs.
There's a great little caveat to this. I think that our company does a lot of behavioral profiling. We use a tool called Extended Disc, and one of the interesting things about it is that each individual has what we call a natural flow, a tendency to do well in certain career choices, and this is why people that are either unhappy in a career or they're in a job that they dislike, they may not be very well suited for the task that job demands of them. And so human beings are broken down in these 4 categories, and this dates all the way back to Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine. And it breaks down into, am I a people person? Am I a detail-oriented compliance person? Can I make order out of chaos? Can I drive projects? All of these sort of different aspects of what the job requires actually suit certain personality types. A mathematician is more what they call a C type, which is about compliance, getting things right, being very accurate, being very detail-oriented. I personally am what they would call a high I, which is more people-oriented. Give me a microphone, a group of people, I'm having a great time.
You are.
Yeah, but a high C would be tortured by this. So we're all suited to a variety of different career choices. Doesn't mean we can't do them all, but it does mean that it takes much more energy for us to be able to accomplish those tasks.
Very interesting. Your worst list, you have a number of occupations that apparently are listed because they are highly stressful jobs and perhaps dangerous. And you've listed as the stressful ones being a head cook, being a flight attendant, firefighter, corrections officer. High stress, dangerous, and or very maybe depressing, I suppose is the word for corrections officer. I'm just interested in the fact that you took these emotional responses into consideration in making the list.
Well, absolutely. When you're working in a life and death situation or in a situation where your life could be at risk, I think it's always very, very stressful, and you have to have your full senses available at all times, especially when we think just about the biology of emotions. When the reptilian brain gets clicked on by either fight or flight, it literally shuts down the frontal lobes, and I don't want to be rude, but it makes us not be able to reason, therefore we kind of go a little stupid. So these type of stress factors, especially if they're things that have to be kept online for 8 hours a day, actually adds to a certain level of being able to feel drained at the end of the day, especially if you're not making very good money. It's even more damaging and more difficult for you.
Gary, thank you very much. It was a great conversation. I enjoyed it. We'll send people. You have a website, I assume, Peopleistic?
Peopleistic.us.
There's Gary D. Rodriguez. KLIF News Time, 5:55. Another look at traffic from Eric Grubbs.
Well, still so far so good. I'm not even seeing a delay on North